Captain Hayes took a deep breath. This was it, the moment they had prepared for. All right, crew, stay focused. We know our plan. Let's show the Zathari that we are not afraid. The crew responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. As the Zathari ships closed in, Captain Hayes called out, "Engage shields and prepare to fire!" The USS Valor shuddered as the powerful energy shields activated. The crew felt a rush of adrenaline as they readied their weapons. Dr. Maya Patel monitored the Zathari ship's movements, her fingers flying across her console. "Captain, the Zathari are launching their first wave," she warned. "They have advanced plasma weapons. We need to be quick." "Return fire!" Captain Hayes commanded, her voice steady. The crew sprang into action, targeting the incoming Zathari ships. Bright beams of energy shot out from the USS Valor, lighting up the dark space around them. The first Zathari ship exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris scattering. Cheers erupted from the crew, but Captain Hayes remained focused. "Don't celebrate yet. Keep your eyes on the enemy." As the battle intensified, Zathari ships began to return fire. Energy blasts filled the space, causing the USS Valor to shake violently. The crew worked frantically, dodging attacks while aiming to hit their targets. "Brace for impact!" Lieutenant Carter shouted as a powerful blast hit the shields, causing sparks to fly. The ship trembled, but the shields held strong. "Reinforce the shields! We can't let them break through!" Captain Hayes ordered, gripping the console tightly. She felt a rush of determination. They had come too far to back down now. In the heat of battle, Captain Hayes spotted a massive Zathari warship moving towards them. Its weapons glowed ominously. "That's their flagship! We need to take it down!" she shouted. Dr. Patel quickly analyzed the ship's systems. "Captain, their energy core is exposed. If we can hit it, we might take them out in one shot." "Prepare the torpedoes!" Captain Hayes commanded. "We need to aim for that core." The crew worked quickly, locking onto the target. "Torpedoes ready!" Carter called out. The tension in the room was palpable as they aimed at the flagship. "Fire!" Captain Hayes shouted. The torpedoes shot forth, slicing through space like arrows. Time seemed to slow as they flew toward the massive warship. The crew held their breath, watching intently. The torpedoes struck the Zathari flagship, and a bright explosion erupted, illuminating the darkness. Cheers erupted on the USS Valor. They had scored a major victory, but their celebration was short-lived. More Zathari ships poured in from the edges of the battlefield, surrounding them. "Captain, we are outnumbered!" Lieutenant Carter shouted, his voice rising with urgency. "Stay calm! We can't let them trap us!" Captain Hayes replied. "Initiate evasive maneuvers. Keep moving." The crew sprang into action, the ships swerving and twisting to avoid incoming fire. The Zathari ships closed in, but Captain Hayes focused on her crew. They were working together, and their determination fueled her own. "Keep firing! We have to create a path!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. The crew aimed and fired, blasting Zathari ships as they fought for survival. Dr. Patel's voice rang out, "We need to break their formation. If we can create confusion, we can escape." "Agreed. Let's split our fire," Captain Hayes ordered. "Target the ships on the left and right flank." The crew quickly adjusted their aim, unleashing a barrage of firepower. Zathari ships began to break apart, caught off guard by the sudden change in strategy. As the battle raged on, Captain Hayes felt a surge of hope. They were holding their ground. The Zathari had underestimated humans, and now they were showing their true strength. But she knew the fight was far from over. "Prepare for a tactical retreat," she commanded. "We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." As the USS Valor turned to make its escape, Captain Hayes glanced back at the battlefield. The fight was fierce, but they had made their mark. They had shown the Zathari that humans would not back down easily. With renewed determination, the crew worked together, flying towards safety. They had faced the Zathari head-on, and while the battle was still ongoing, they had proven one thing: they were not afraid. The USS Valor soared through space, weaving between asteroids and debris as it made its retreat from the fierce battle with the Zathari. Captain Elena Hayes stood at the command console, her heart pounding. They had survived the confrontation, but the Zathari were still hot on their trail. "Status report!" she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Shields are holding at 70%, Captain," Lieutenant Sam Carter replied, his eyes scanning the screens. "But we need to find a way to slow them down." Dr. Maya Patel looked up from her station. If we can lead them into the asteroid belt, we might use it to our advantage. The Zathari ships are larger and may struggle to navigate through the rocks. Captain Hayes considered the plan. That's a risky move, but it might be our best chance. Set a course for the asteroid belt, and let's hope they take the bait. The crew quickly adjusted their course, and the USS Valor sped toward the dense cluster of asteroids. As they entered the belt, the crew felt a surge of hope. This could be the turning point they needed. "Keep the engines at maximum power," Captain Hayes ordered. "We need to move fast and stay one step ahead." The Zathari ships followed closely, their weapons charged and ready. The crew could see the enemy ships on the radar, and tension filled the air. As they navigated through the asteroids, the crew worked together seamlessly, dodging obstacles and firing back at their pursuers. "Captain, the Zathari are gaining on us," Lieutenant Carter warned, his fingers flying over the controls. "They are not far behind." "Focus on the rocks ahead," Captain Hayes replied. "We can use them as cover. Stay sharp." The crew steered the ship through the twisting paths of the asteroid belt, narrowly avoiding collisions. The Zathari ships struggled to keep up, their larger size making it difficult to maneuver. As they entered a particularly dense area, Captain Hayes saw an opportunity. "Now, let's create some chaos," she shouted. "Fire at the asteroids!" The crew opened fire, blasting the asteroids and sending debris flying. Some rocks shattered into smaller pieces, creating a cloud of dust and debris in their wake. The Zathari ships had no choice but to slow down and navigate carefully. "Captain, we've created a barrier," Dr. Patel exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "They won't be able to follow us through this mess." "Good! Keep firing! We need to slow them down even more," Captain Hayes ordered. The crew unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, causing more asteroids to explode and fill the space with chaos. As the Zathari ships struggled to navigate through the debris, Captain Hayes felt a surge of hope. They were gaining the upper hand. But she knew the Zathari would not give up easily. They had to make this moment count. "Prepare to split the ship and flank them," she commanded. "We need to hit them from both sides." The crew quickly adjusted their positions, ready to execute the plan. Captain Hayes steered the USS Valor in a wide arc, creating distance from the Zathari ships. With the asteroids acting as cover, they would be able to surprise their enemies. "On my mark, we split an attack!" she shouted. The crew nodded, their eyes locked on the enemy ships. "Mark!" Captain Hayes called out. The USS Valor split into two, one part veering left and the other right. The Zathari were caught off guard, their attention focused on the main ship. "Now, fire!" Captain Hayes yelled. Both sections of the USS Valor unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, targeting the Zathari ships from both sides. The surprise attack caught the Zathari off balance, and explosions lit up the dark space. "Direct hits! We're damaging their ships!" Lieutenant Carter cheered, excitement clear in his voice. "Keep it up! Don't let them regroup," Captain Hayes urged, her heart racing. The tide was turning, and she could feel the momentum shifting in their favor. The Zathari, once so confident, now found themselves in disarray. Their ships began to retreat, realizing they were no match for the humans' clever tactics. Captain Hayes felt a wave of pride wash over her. They had done what many thought impossible. "Let's push them further back," she commanded. "Follow them and ensure they know we won't back down." As the crew continued to fire, the Zathari ships scattered. The USS Valor pressed on, driving the enemy away. Captain Hayes smiled, knowing they had achieved a significant victory. This was not just a battle, it was a turning point for humanity in the galaxy. "Prepare for a victory formation," she shouted, her voice filled with determination. The crew cheered, their spirits high. They had faced the Zathari and emerged stronger. This was a moment to remember, a step toward proving that humans were not to be challenged lightly. As the USS Valor soared through the stars, Captain Hayes knew they had sent a powerful message. They would fight for their place in the universe, and they would do it together. The battle had ended, but the echoes of gunfire and explosions still lingered in the minds of the crew on the USS Valor. Captain Elena Hayes stood on the bridge, looking out at the vastness of space. The Zathari ships had retreated, but their presence still loomed heavy in the air. She felt a mixture of relief and tension, knowing the war was far from over. "Captain, we've received a transmission from the Zathari," Lieutenant Sam Carter reported, his brow furrowing. "They're asking to speak with you." Captain Hayes raised an eyebrow, surprised. What do they want? They say they wish to discuss terms. They're asking for a ceasefire, he replied, glancing at the crew. It seems they have reconsidered their approach. Captain Hayes hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Put them through, she finally said, her voice steady. The screen flickered, and soon the image of a Zathari officer appeared. He had green skin and sharp features, his eyes narrowing as he spoke. Captain Hayes, I am Commander Tarek of the Zathari fleet. I come to you with a message of respect. Respect? Captain Hayes echoed, her arms crossed. After the way your fleet attacked us, that's hard to believe. Commander Tarek nodded, his expression serious. We underestimated humans. We believed your species to be weak and easily conquered. However, your bravery and tactics in battle have proven us wrong. We recognize your strength. Hayes listened carefully, surprised by the commander's honesty. What are you suggesting? A ceasefire, Commander Tarek replied. We wish to discuss a truce. We have no desire for further conflict with your kind. Captain Hayes exchanged glances with her crew. They had fought hard and suffered losses. The thought of a truce was tempting, but it felt risky. What guarantee do we have that you will honor this truce? She asked. Commander Tarek's eyes softened. We will withdraw our forces and cease all aggressive actions. In return, we ask for a chance to negotiate. We want to learn from each other, to find common ground. There is much we could share. Captain Hayes considered his words. The idea of peace was appealing, especially after the fierce battles they had fought. And what do you offer in return? She pressed. Tarek straightened, his voice firm. We offer knowledge and trade. Our technology could benefit your species, and we could explore the stars together rather than as enemies. We have much to learn from each other. Hayes could see the sincerity in his eyes. The Zathari had come to understand that strength did not only come from power, but also from respect and cooperation. You have a lot to prove, she replied, her voice steady. We've seen what your fleet is capable of, and trust will take time. Commander Tarek nodded, accepting her words. We understand, but we wish to extend an olive branch. We are prepared to start fresh. Hayes looked at her crew, who were listening intently. They had faced danger and uncertainty together. Now the possibility of peace hung in the air. Very well, she said slowly. We will agree to a ceasefire, but I want a meeting in neutral territory to discuss terms. This must be monitored. Agreed, Commander Tarek replied, a hint of relief in his voice. We will send a delegation to your coordinates. Thank you for your willingness to talk. As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted into murmurs. Captain Hayes turned to her crew. I know this is a risk, but we have shown the Zathari our strength. If we can turn this into a chance for peace, it could change everything. Lieutenant Carter stepped forward. Captain, do you really think they can be trusted? They attacked us without warning. We will proceed with caution, Captain Hayes assured him. But we must be open to new possibilities. War is not the only path. Dr. Maya Patel chimed in. This could lead to alliances we never thought possible. Humanity has always been strong, but together, we could be even stronger. Captain Hayes smiled, feeling a sense of hope. Exactly. Let's prepare for the meeting. We'll need to show them that we are not just warriors, but diplomats too. As the USS Valor moved toward the agreed-upon meeting point, Captain Hayes felt a mix of emotions. The confrontation had been fierce, but now a new chapter awaited. They had faced the Zathari, and through that struggle, respect had grown. Now both sides had a chance to work together and forge a future beyond conflict. As the ship approached the neutral territory, Captain Hayes looked at her crew with pride. No matter what happens next, we have proven that humanity will not be underestimated. We have faced challenges, but we will continue to rise. With determination in their hearts, the crew of the USS Valor prepared for the next phase of their journey. They had shown their strength and resilience. Now it was time to embrace the possibility of a better future. On the distant planet of Zathara, the sky was a deep shade of purple, and two bright moons hung above. The Zathari race, known for their advanced technology and fierce pride, gathered in the grand hall of their capital city. The hall was filled with strange machines and glowing lights, making it look like a scene from a science fiction story. The Zathari were tall and had green skin, with large eyes that seemed to glow. They considered themselves the most powerful race in the galaxy. At the front of the hall stood Ambassador Kale, a confident and strong Zathari. He had a reputation for being both wise and ruthless. As he looked out at the crowd, he felt the energy in the room. Today, he was about to make a bold announcement. He raised his arms to silence the audience. "Fellow Zathari," he began, his voice echoing through the hall. "We have long known our strength, but there is a race out there that dares to challenge us, humans. They are weak and primitive. They think they can stand against us." The crowd gasped at his words. The Zathari had heard of humans, but they believed they were not a threat. Kale continued, "I challenge the humans. Let them come to Zathara and prove their strength in a battle. We will show them what true power looks like." As the ambassador spoke, the crowd erupted in cheers. They were excited about the idea of defeating the humans and proving their superiority. Kale smiled, knowing that this would be a moment to remember. Meanwhile, on Earth, news of the challenge spread quickly. People watched the broadcast with shock and disbelief. In a control room filled with screens and monitors, military leaders discussed the situation. Some believed it was best to ignore the challenge, thinking the Zathari were simply trying to boast. Others felt angry and insulted. Captain Elena Hayes was among them. She was a skilled leader, known for her bravery and quick thinking in battle. Her brown hair was tied back, and her blue uniform hugged her fit frame. She listened to the discussions, her heart racing. She knew that ignoring the challenge would not be wise. The humans had to show they were not weak. "I volunteer to lead a team to Zathara," Captain Hayes declared, standing tall. Her voice was strong and confident. The room fell silent as everyone turned to her. "We cannot let the Zathari mock us. We must accept the challenge and show them our true strength." A murmur spread through the room. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked unsure. General Miller, an older man with a grizzled beard, stepped forward. "Captain Hayes, this is dangerous. The Zathari are powerful. We must think carefully before we act." But Captain Hayes did not waver. "We cannot back down. If we show them fear, they will see us as weak. We have technology and spirit. Together we can win." After a tense moment, General Miller sighed and nodded. "Very well, Captain. If you believe we can do this, I will support you." With the approval of the leaders, Captain Hayes began to assemble her team. She selected a diverse group of the best soldiers and scientists from different backgrounds. Each member brought unique skills and strengths to the mission. They gathered in a large hangar where the spaceship USS Valor was waiting. As the crew arrived, Captain Hayes looked at them, her heart swelling with pride. "We are here to show the galaxy what humans can do. The Zathari think they can intimidate us, but we will prove them wrong." The crew nodded, their faces filled with determination. They worked together, preparing the USS Valor for the journey ahead. They installed advanced technology and weapons, showcasing human creativity and ingenuity. As the ship powered up, the crew shared stories of human courage, past battles, and victories. Laughter and excitement filled the hangar, building a strong bond among them. They knew the journey ahead would be tough, but they were ready to face the challenge head-on. Captain Hayes looked out at the stars, feeling a mix of fear and hope. She knew they had to fight not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. With a final glance back at Earth, the USS Valor lifted off, leaving the planet behind. The mission was clear. They would face the Zathari and show them that humans were anything but weak. The USS Valor soared through the stars, leaving Earth far behind. Captain Elena Hayes stood on the bridge, gazing at the vast expanse of space. The stars twinkled like tiny diamonds, and the crew was buzzing with excitement and nerves. They had a mission to face the Zathari and show them that humans were not to be underestimated. As they approached Zathara, Captain Hayes gathered her team in the war room. The room was filled with holographic displays and maps of the Zathari homeworld. Soldiers and scientists were busy preparing for what was to come. The atmosphere was tense but filled with determination. "Listen up, everyone," Captain Hayes began, her voice steady. "We have one goal, to prove ourselves to the Zathari. They think we are weak, but we will show them our strength. We need to be smart, work together, and be ready for anything." The crew nodded, their faces serious. Lieutenant Sam Carter, a skilled engineer, spoke up. "Captain, we need to upgrade our defenses. The Zathari have powerful weapons, and we must protect the ship." "Agreed," Captain Hayes replied. "Let's focus on improving our shields and weapons. I want everyone to work as a team. We are stronger together." The crew divided into groups, each taking on specific tasks. Some worked on the ship's weapons, while others focused on the shields. The sound of tools clanging and voices filled the hangar as everyone worked hard. Captain Hayes walked around, checking on each team, offering support and encouragement. In another part of the ship, Dr. Maya Patel, a brilliant scientist, was studying the Zathari technology. She looked through her data and shook her head. Their technology is advanced, but it has weaknesses. If we can identify their weak points, we can turn the tide in our favor. Keep digging, Dr. Patel, Captain Hayes said. Your work could save us. As the hours passed, the crew grew more confident in their preparations. They shared stories, jokes, and laughter, building camaraderie. Captain Hayes felt a sense of pride as she watched her team bond. She knew that trust and teamwork were essential for success. The ship's systems were finally upgraded. The crew gathered once more in the war room to review their strategy. Captain Hayes laid out a map of the Zathari planet, highlighting key locations. The Zathari will expect us to attack head-on, she explained. But we need to be clever. I suggest we create a diversion. While some of us draw their attention, others can sneak in and gather intelligence. This way we can strike when they least expect it. The team discussed the plan, making adjustments and sharing ideas. Each member brought their skills to the table, and the atmosphere was filled with energy and determination. As they finished their planning, Captain Hayes called for a moment of silence. Before we face the Zathari, I want us to remember why we are here. We are not just fighting for ourselves, but for all of humanity. We must stand united. No matter what happens, we fight together. The crew nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they neared Zathara, the ship's sensors detected incoming Zathari ships. The crew's excitement turned to tension. The Zathari were ready for them. Captain Hayes took a deep breath, knowing this was the moment they had prepared for. "Everyone to your stations!" she shouted. "It's time to show the Zathari what humans are made of!" The crew rushed to their positions, hearts racing. The USS Valor was now in combat mode, ready for battle. As the Zathari ships came into view, Captain Hayes felt a mix of fear and determination. She knew they had worked hard, and now it was time to prove their strength. "Engage shields and prepare weapons," she ordered, her voice calm and strong. The crew responded with enthusiasm, each member focused and ready. They had trained for this moment, and now they would fight with everything they had. Captain Hayes looked at the view screen, watching the Zathari ships grow larger. With a steady hand, she tightened her grip on the control panel. They were ready to face the challenge, and she knew they would not back down. Together they would show the Zathari that humans were fierce warriors, and they would fight for their place in the galaxy. As the ships approached, Captain Hayes shouted, "For humanity!" The crew echoed her battle cry, ready to prove their worth against the Zathari. The USS Valor soared through the dark void of space, heading straight for Zathara. Captain Elena Hayes stood at the command console, her eyes fixed on the screen displaying the Zathari ships. They were sleek and menacing, with sharp angles and glowing lights. The crew was tense, their hearts pounding with anticipation. "Zathari ships ahead!" Lieutenant Sam Carter shouted from his station. "They are moving into attack formation."